Marcus Aurelius is one of the most influential philosophers I've ever come across. He was known as one of Rome's last good emperors, someone who really cared about the people. It was a time when death was rampant and chaos was all around us. Marcus Aurelius wrote what we know today as the Meditations, but I don't think he ever meant to share them with the world. He wrote them to help him cope with his inner demons. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations explore the deeper questions about life, like: why are we here? How should we live? How can we deal with criticism? What is the best way to handle adversity? How does one respond to suffering? He wrote these words about 2,000 years ago, but his thoughts are still relevant today. How can we incorporate his Stoic outlook into our daily routines? Here are some of the key points that can be applied to our own lives. 1. Don't worry about what others think of you. Marcus Aurelius writes that worrying about the opinion of others is a waste of time. We have a finite amount of time on this earth. Why do we care so much about our relatives, what they're doing, and how they feel about us? We need to focus on our life purpose. What is our purpose? What is our mission in life? Is it to create art, play sports, help others, or be a loving parent? We are addicted to social media. We spend our time looking at what others are doing in their life. We envy them. We feel frustrated that we are not as successful as them. We envy them with their flashy gadgets, flashy cameras, and flashy apartments. What if we spent our whole life not looking at what others are doing, but only looking at ourselves? Don't waste your time worrying about what other people think, says Marcus Aurelius. Neither praise nor criticism matters because it doesn't affect the intrinsic worth of what or whom you're judging and evaluating. Here are some quotes from Marcus Aurelius on this topic. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. 2. Life is what you make it. There is no objective reality out there, we create our own. We make our own judgments about what is right and wrong in our lives. We create our own perceptions of the world. There is no external reality out there, we create our own perceptions. When someone insults us, tries to hurt us, or criticizes us, it is not the insult itself that hurts us, it is how we interpret it. As Marcus Aurelius said, life is what you make it. Everything in life has two components to it. 1. The actual thing and 2. Your perception of it. You cannot change the thing itself, but you can change how you perceive it and what it means to you. For example, let's say you've had a bad presentation at work. It's past now, but you're still in a state of fear, shame, and disappointment. Of course, this is normal. But if we were to take this advice to heart, the distress you're feeling isn't because of the presentation itself, it's because of how you're interpreting it. You're seeing it as a failure, a professional disaster. But is that really how you see it? If you reframe it, instead of seeing it as a setback, you can see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. This way, it won't look like a failure, but as an opportunity for growth. If that doesn't sound clear enough for you, here is another quote from Aurelius: you are in control of your own mind, not of external events. When you realize this, you will find power. In other words, life is a series of choices. It doesn't matter what happens to us, it's how we choose to view it. This is one of the main life lessons Aurelius taught us. In his book Meditations, he talks a lot about choice and being proactive. In fact, he even says, life is an opinion. What's that mean? Well, it means that our life is what we choose to make it. If we choose to look at it from the victim's point of view, then we're victims. On the other hand, if we look at it from an empowered point of view, we're empowered. 3. Do less. You got that right. Marcus Aurelius asserted that accomplishing a few things properly will make us happier than accomplishing many things poorly. How so? Focus and purpose are two words. The wise man advised, if thou wouldst know contentment, let thy deeds be few. If you want to be content, let your deeds be few. Or, rather, limit them to those which are necessary, and to those which in a social life are necessary. What are the advantages of limiting one's actions to the essentials and performing those few things well? Marcus Aurelius tells himself, "We are happiest when we do a few things, but when we do them properly." This brings to mind the satisfaction that comes from doing a few simple things and doing them well. The majority of what we do and say is unnecessary, and its absence would save us both time and effort. Ask yourself at every step, is this one of those things that are unnecessary? If not, then unnecessary action will not follow. A lot of our words and actions are unnecessary. When we don't do unnecessary things, we will feel less stressed. Ask yourself, is this necessary? We need to get rid of the superfluous things in our life. The fewer superfluous things we do, say, think, and feel, the more time we have for what truly matters in life, like spending time with our loved ones, doing our creative work, and helping others. It's a beautiful reminder of how precious our time is, and why we should make the most of it. 4. Reminding ourselves of death gives us focus. Memento mori, a saying that reminds us of being mortals. One day we are going to turn to dust, but what we do before that one day comes makes us who we are. Living with the knowledge that we will die and that it can happen at any moment is designed to do two things. Firstly, we should not be afraid of death, we all die eventually, after all. Secondly, it gives us a sense of meaning and urgency in our lives by reminding us to make the most of the time we have left. Here is a simple exercise to remind us of life and death: accept that you have died and your life story is finished, and henceforward look upon what may come to you as a surplus of uncovenanted time. Marcus Aurelius. When I wake up in the morning, I throw up my hands and say, "It's wonderful to be alive," and wonder how I can use this day to help others. We all must keep reminding ourselves that death is knocking on our door. Otherwise, we won't be able to focus on things that really matter. 5. You can live happily anywhere. Let it be clear to you that the pace of green fields can always be yours, in this, that or any other spot, and that nothing is any different here from what it would be either up in the hills, or down by the sea, or wherever else you will. Marcus Aurelius. For many of us, the source of our suffering lies in our homes, where we live, and the desire to live somewhere else. We may live in a small town and long for the city life, or we may live in a city and long for the countryside life, or we live in a countryside and long for the beach, or we live on an island and long for the convenience of a suburb. If we were content with where we lived, and the home we lived in, and had no desire to live anywhere else, or in something bigger or better, we would have more energy, more money, and more time to focus on better things in our lives. I always get the grass is greener on the other side syndrome. Rather, switch it up. Think to yourself, the grass is greener on my side. For example, if you live in a boring place, it will motivate you to find more interesting things to do, and it may be an opportunity to start something new. You are in control of your own life, so don't complain about where you live. Instead, take advantage of all the advantages of your neighborhood, city, or place. 6. See the bigger picture. Marcus Aurelius wrote about a practice that is referred to as taking the view from above, or Plato's view. It's a great way to remember when you're feeling overwhelmed by something. The idea is to remember that we're all pretty small in the big picture, so most of our issues are also pretty small when you look at them from the big picture. Looking at the bigger picture will give you a new perspective. It will allow you the space to figure out where you can improve, figure out what really matters in your life, and give you the space to find meaning and purpose in your life. So, step back and remember that nothing is as important as it looks right now. Looking at the big picture will help you see where you can make improvements, figure out what's really important. 7. Look within. In his book, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of introspection. He argued that regular self-reflection allows us to evaluate our drives and actions. This self-reflection serves as a guide for personal growth, helping us to develop moral values and ensure our actions are in line with our beliefs. The result of self-reflection is a deeper connection with yourself and a clearer understanding of your purpose. 8. Stay in the now. Being present, or the here and now, means being aware of what's happening right now. We're not distracted by thoughts of the past or fears of the future. We're all focused on what's going on right now. Being present-minded is essential for staying healthy and content. It helps fight anxiety, reduces worrying and ruminating, and keeps us connected to ourselves and the world around us. 9. Appreciate what you have. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Stop complaining about what you don't have and be thankful for what you do. As Marcus Aurelius once said, we are fortunate to be alive. We are fortunate to be conscious, fortunate to have friends, fortunate to have interests, and fortunate to be loved. When you stop and think about what freedoms you have now, it makes you realize how fortunate your life is, regardless of what material possessions you have. Practicing gratitude, daily, has been proven to boost your happiness. This is because gratitude makes you think about what you have instead of what you don't. 10. Accepting the fragility of life. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius teaches us that life is an ephemeral gift, and that everything is ephemeral. This lesson reminds us to live life to the fullest, to see beauty in the world around us, and to focus on the things that truly matter. By freeing ourselves from unnecessary stress, we can start each day with a new sense of amazement, knowing that life is ephemeral. More than just a book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius is a shining example of timeless wisdom. Its lessons act as a bridge between our modern lives and the wisdom of the great philosopher of ancient times. Every lesson has the power to change our perspective, from appreciating the fleeting nature of life to building our inner strength to live in harmony with the natural world. We embark on a path to a life of purpose, insight, and peace by internalizing and applying these 10 fundamental truths, a life that embodies the essence of Aurelius' enduring philosophy. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel.